Unfortunately, we're in a period, and have been since about 1990, where most states have been cutting back their workers' compensation statutes. There have been extreme examples of this, such as in Oklahoma, where employers are given the option of opting out of the workers' comp program and setting up disability programs which by and large do not have benefits equivalent to workers' compensation. In New Jersey, as in most states, it's not optional for the employer. If you're an employer and you have one or more employees in New Jersey, you must provide workers' comp coverage. So that's been a development that has been adverse for workers. It's a state-run program. Each state has its own version of workers' compensation. New Jersey was one of the very few first states to pass this law in 1911. You have to have an injury that meets certain legal tests. Did it arise out of employment and in the course of employment and so on. Once you are injured, you're entitled to medical benefits. No cost to you. There's no deductibles, no co-insurance. The employer is responsible for paying the premium, or if they self-insure, the entire medical bill. If you're out of work for more than 7 days, you're entitled to benefits that would last as long as you're in the healing period. If you have a permanent injury, lose a hand or something like that, you're entitled to benefits for that as well. And there's a very interesting scheme in New Jersey that is used for these so-called permanent partial injuries. You lose a hand, you're not totally disabled, but you are obviously going to have a loss for the rest of your life, and it's going to affect your earning capacity. So in most states, it's very difficult to establish that there was an intentional injury. But New Jersey has had some interesting cases over the last couple of decades of saying, if the employer puts you in a position where there's almost certainty that you're going to be injured, and you are injured, even if there was it wasn't conscious in the sense like bringing a bat down on your head, that can be compensable. We have a case where, for example, an employer took the safety guards off a machine every time so that the employee could work faster. The only time you put the safety guards back on was when the OSHA inspectors came around. And as soon as they left, the safety guards came off. One day the worker's hands got grabbed by the machine and lost a couple fingers. And New Jersey courts have decided that, in fact, the employee could bring a tort suit against the employer because that was so close to that constitutes an intentional injury, and therefore you don't have the exclusive remedy provision as it's known come into play. Not everything that happens at the workplace is covered by workers' compensation. If you are working for a construction firm, for example, and a separate employer provides the scaffolding, which is not well designed, and it collapses and you're injured, you may be entitled to get only workers' comp benefits from your own employer, but you can sue the firm that provided the scaffolding in negligence, and potentially then there's a much larger award for that than you can get through workers' compensation. So many times students are surprised. I've heard about these $1 million settlements out of workplace injuries. Well, by and large, they're not workers' compensation cases. There's something that involves a third party. A machine tool manufacturer provides a defective machine and it cuts off your fingers. Well, you can't get much money from your employer, but you've got a chance to get a substantial award by suing that manufacturer of the machine. Because in recent decades, there's been a tendency for employers to classify what we would normally call employees as independent contractors. But the law in New Jersey is pretty stringent on this. If you are doing the things that an employee normally does, that is, the employer pays you by the hour, it supervises you carefully, employer provides the work material and so on. Even if you've signed an agreement saying you're an independent contractor, in New Jersey, the courts will say that doesn't bind you. You could still bring workers' compensation claims against the employer. So my own background, in addition to being a professor, I've done some consulting in a number of states, and for a long while I was a member of the advisory committee here in the state of New Jersey for the state workers' compensation law.